At the Hungarian Grand Prix, George Russell once again secured a podium finish despite managing to almost completely avoid the TV coverage, an odd skill that he's been perfecting over the past year. His third-place finish at the Hungaroring earned him a sixth trip to the podium for the season, putting him one podium ahead of Verstappen. Antonelli also managed to make his way back into the points with a 10th-place finish, but that won't do much to quiet the theorists, claiming that Toto Wolff may have slightly overhyped the Italian youngster. That result came on the back of Mercedes downgrading their car, something that doesn't normally cause a performance increase. Despite the positive result, Toto Wolff was furious at his team for their failure. Today, I'll talk about Mercedes' faltering development and discuss why Mercedes are lucky to have George Russell, for now, so don't go anywhere. As the first half of the Formula One season came to an end after Hungarian Grand Prix, George Russell would have been pretty happy with himself. A sixth podium finish of the season leaves him just 15 points behind his rival for third place in the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen. Even better for Russell was the fact that Verstappen's Red Bull appeared to be in an even worse state than normal. The usually unstoppable Dutchman couldn't find a way past ex-teammate Liam Lawson, as Verstappen finally put in a performance to show just how bad that car is. Russell has quietly had a very good season. His race win in Canada was obviously well earned, but in reality, he's managed to construct an incredibly strong season by just being there when things go wrong for others around him. Not a bad skill to have when it's earning you regular podium finishes. In Hungary, it was Charles Leclerc and Ferrari who dropped the ball, offering Russell a pretty simple overtake for third place late on in the race. Leclerc's pace faded in the final stint, and he railed at his team for the way they'd managed the race, complaining about some form of issue and saying that they should have listened to him before the race. That issue turned out to be related to their ride height and plank wear, which Ferrari feared was starting to stray into illegal levels. Ferrari had to restrict his engine power toward the end of the pit straight when downforce reached its highest levels. That stopped the car scraping along the track in the braking zone, but left Leclerc very vulnerable to overtakes. The Monegasque lost out to Piastri with almost comical ease, and then, in the final stint, it was Russell's turn. The Mercedes man stopped 3 laps later for the final time and closed in on the Ferrari, attacking with 10 laps to go. Russell tried once with 9 laps to go and complained that Leclerc moved under braking. He made the move stick a lap later, again complaining about Leclerc's driving, and the Ferrari man was given a 5-second penalty for erratic driving. It was a good drive from George, but also a surprising one. Mercedes had been off the pace for the last few races. Actually, if you ignore that win in Canada, they'd been struggling since Imola. Between Miami and Hungary, there were 8 races and 3 upgrades, one of which caused so many of those disappointing results. At Imola, Mercedes aimed to solve a long-standing problem with its first major development step. A new rear suspension with more anti-lift was intended to keep the rear of the car more stable during load changes, within the window where aerodynamics work best. But the new part turned out to be a failure. The drivers complained about an unstable rear end, which promptly led to increased tyre wear and reduced lap times. The results showed just how bad it was. Up until Imola, Russell had 4 podiums in 6 races. After Imola, he only had 1 in 7 until the Hungarian Grand Prix. It was a shocking drop in form, and all Mercedes' own doing. After Imola, the Mercedes engineers tried to find the problem, sometimes relying on the old rear suspension, sometimes on the new one. In retrospect, it must be considered unfortunate that the new rear suspension was in the car for the victory in Montreal, as it may have encouraged Mercedes to stick with it for longer, like how the Zero Pod's occasional good result did a few years ago. It wasn't the new rear suspension that led to the brilliant moment in Montreal, but rather the unique track layout and Mercedes' penchant for cold weather circuits. In Hungary, Mercedes finally decided to remove the rear suspension for good, and the change was instantaneous. George Russell and Andrea Kimi Antonelli had barely completed their first laps at the Hungaroring when they thought they were driving a different car. The rear end is stable again when turning, Russell praised. His young teammate rejoiced, the confidence in the car is back. As a rookie driver, the one thing you need in the car is confidence, and if Antonelli hasn't had it, then it's no wonder he's had a terrible time of things since Imola. With the new rear suspension, the Italian driver had only 1 points finish, a podium in Canada. The first race without the suspension, and he's straight back into the points. Team principal Toto Wolff summarized, "We've given our drivers a more stable platform. Their increased confidence has been reflected in their lap times. Russell missed out on pole by just 0.053 seconds. Antonelli completed 50 laps on one set of tyres, defending his 10th place, something that would have been impossible with the car a week earlier due to the instability of the rear end. Mercedes are far from the first team to fit upgrades in these regulations that have ruined a car's stability and cost them competitiveness. Ferrari's Barcelona upgrade last season probably cost them a Constructors' Championship. Over a year worth of upgrades, Red Bull have destroyed the most dominant car ever made in Formula One. Aston Martin went from regular podium finishers to also-rans in the space of a race in 2023. Nonetheless, Toto Wolff had some critical words for his factory team. "We rebuilt the car to its pre-Imola state and made it better. It shouldn't happen that an upgrade can mess everything up like that. With all the smart people on the team, all the simulations and the infrastructure we have, you don't expect a car architecture to confuse you like that. We tried to solve one problem and it made something else significantly worse. That's now been fixed." Before the cost cap came in, Mercedes had the biggest budget in the sport. When they were bringing upgrades, they would bring 3 versions, let the drivers try them, and then pick the best performing to make them permanent. That is just not possible anymore, with Mercedes' old $500 million budget slashed to a little over $100 million. Mistakes like this one don't just cost the team money, they cost a big chunk of budget and, as a result, can end a season of competitiveness, so it's no surprise that Wolff isn't happy. In fact, Toto has had a bad few weeks. After months of pursuing Max Verstappen, the Dutchman has committed to Red Bull for next season, and even worse, has denied that he was ever even thinking of moving to Mercedes. Wolff's pursuit in the end has done little else than upset George Russell, and the Brit had some very serious suitors. Before I talk about that though, if you're enjoying the video and want to catch more news and analysis from the current F1 season, then press the like button and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. So heading into the 2026 season, Mercedes currently have no contracted drivers. George Russell and Andrea Kimi Antonelli are both out of contract at the end of this season, and free to sign for someone else if they want to. Luckily for Toto Wolff, he's been able to spend half a year trying to convince Verstappen to join his team because there really is nowhere else for Russell and Antonelli to go. Or nowhere else that's likely to offer as competitive car as a Mercedes anyway. In Hungary, Toto said that he would continue with Russell and Antonelli for next season, but that definitely wasn't his first choice lineup, and at the moment, there still hasn't been an official announcement of contracts. Antonelli, as a first-season rookie at a top team, will probably sign anything that's put in front of him. Russell, though, might not be quite so happy about what has been happening between Wolff and Verstappen. It is widely believed that Russell isn't going to be happy with a one-year contract extension, likely wanting at least 2 years from his new contract if not longer. The problem Wolff now has is that with Verstappen off the table until next season, Russell holds all the chips. What is Wolff going to do if Russell says no to a one-year contract? Go looking for Mick Schumacher somewhere in France and steal him from the Alpine WEC team? It's not exactly an ideal solution. Russell isn't in the position where he has to sign for Mercedes either. Yes, they probably are his best option, but if he wants a longer contract, then he can definitely find one for next season with suitors in a number of teams. According to Sky Sports, several teams have recently explored the situation surrounding Russell and expressed serious interest. In addition to Aston Martin, there is also Cadillac, which has not yet officially confirmed a single driver for 2026. It is also reported that former Red Bull boss Christian Horner also had the 27-year-old on his radar, and with the current driver situation at Red Bull, that interest likely hasn't left the team with Horner. The interest of rivals and Verstappen's withdrawal have undoubtedly improved Russell's negotiating position with Mercedes. In Hungary, he did state that he wanted to further develop the relationship with Mercedes, but it has to be a good fit. "I've been waiting for 12 months. I'm not going to rush into anything within 2 weeks. We'll sit down together when the time is right." Whether the summer break is the right time remains to be seen, but Russell has every right to make Wolff squirm after how he's treated his driver with his pursuit of Verstappen. One thing is clear. As long as the contract isn't signed, speculation about Russell's future will continue, no matter what Toto Wolff may say. What do you think of Mercedes' turnaround in Hungary? And do you think Russell should find a seat elsewhere after how he's been treated? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and if you want to support the channel, then make sure to check out f1reverse.com to get yourself some sweet F1 inspired merch. Until next time, drive safe and bye for now.